if you wanna have me there. I know I'm like a walk in space, no matter how you talk with me. You never know what's up. I don't even think I'm in my league here, but I'm so hypnotized by these feelings.
You promised me to tell if there's anything haunting you. You leave without saying where you're going or where to. Should I worry that you won't come back? Should I worry that you will forget? My sense is telling me I shouldn't worry, you know the truth. Ooh, yeah. I can never take away our story now. And I know you feel it too, our story, it's too precious now. Yeah, I can never take away our story now. We've come too far to waste our story, it's all asked me to tell if there's anything haunting you. And you leave me unaware if I might have been hurting you. Oh, should I worry that you won't come back, or accept any time as a fact? My heart is telling me I shouldn't worry and know the truth. Oh, yeah. I can never take away our story now. We've come too far to waste our story. It's our story now.
Let's go.
So in love with you. You got me down again.
Hey, Hand of the Gods fans, welcome to the Open Beta Patch 0.36 Patch Note Show. This was supposed to happen on Friday, but we did have a snow delay. We are from the south, so we get an inch and everything shuts down.
Yeah, I don't think some people probably don't understand how ridiculously impossible it is for people down here to cope with snow.
Oh, no. There was something on Twitter this morning. Someone on I-85, and there's a car, and there's just snow on like 80% of their windshield, just driving down the highway.
They just have like
I hate Atlanta.
a 2-inch by 2-inch like window on their windshield that they can see through.
That happened last year at HRX too. I was like, I was driving because I was hungry, going to fast food, and there's someone with just ice on their back windshield in line. It's like they can't. I know they can't see anything. Like I know. Don't drive in Atlanta when it snows because people are bad.
Yes.
They're just bad. Anyways, guys, it is Monday, so this patch slated for Wednesday, ideally, as long as everything goes well. And again, we're trying to do this, Friday patch notes into the following Wednesday, and then that following Monday will be all the PS4 and Xbox players getting the update. Again, assuming everything goes well, but I think we've gotten into a pretty good cycle finally. It took us a little bit, but we're on a pretty regular update schedule now, so hopefully all you console players are good. Let's not waste any more of your time and jump into it. We've got 4 new cards, 6 reworks, along with some balance and bug adjustments. First up here, we are actually going to start with a Greek spell, Champion's Bluff. This is a 4-mana epic card. Both players spawn the highest costed unit in their hand.
Yeah, this one's a lot of fun. So basically, this is a card that you're pretty much only going to want to play if you are playing high-costed cards. And it's basically saying, all right, I'll choose my champion, you choose your champion, let's go.
There are some never left.
Yeah, so you can kind of see right there. So it's a very powerful card, but it is one of those cards where it can be kind of risky because you don't know what they have in their hand, and they're always going to get something too. But if you're you're probably playing the highest costed card, then you're probably going to make out better with that.
Yeah,
situation.
and a lot of times you will have that with the Greek Pantheon in general. They have a lot of 5-6 mana plus cards, so you can get it out a little bit more efficiently.
Yeah, and there's obviously some good neutrals that you could target as well.
Yeah, that's true. New Ascensus, Brood as well, if you decide to run some of those. Then we have Erlong Shin, who is the main star of this patch. This is a, melee god unit, 4 mana, 4/4 rare. With the War Cry, replace all Crescent Blades in your hand with 3-bladed spears. And 3-bladed spears are just an upgraded version of Crescent Blades. They are 1 mana, deal 2 damage to a unit up from the 1 that Crescent Blades have.
Yep. So this is one of those cards that you'll probably want to play if you're doing kind of a spell wall deck. So if you can kind of load up your hand with Crescent Blades through your leader ability, as well as maybe you're playing Blade Forge. Then you can drop him down, you upgrade all of them, and then, and they stay this way, so you can save them if you want to, you can use them, and, you get a lot more value out of it. And one thing to note, though, is that you will not actually, any additional Crescent Blades you add after you use it won't be upgraded. So if you, play Erlang Shin, upgrade your Crescent Blades, and then use your leader ability, the new blade that you get will be a regular Crescent Blade, not the new one.
This isn't updating or upgrading your leader ability like, say, an Empowered Dead does. This is simply switching out what's currently in your hand. Also to note, it will keep the mana reduction if you had used Crescent Blade. If you had used your leader ability that turn, so I think you saw it in the video too, you can use your leader ability, then throw out Erlong, and it'll be a 0 mana 3-bladed spear for that turn.
That's
right. Go back up to 1. Okay, up next here, we've got a new neutral unit, Juggernaut. He is a melee, 7 mana, 4/8 epic. Whenever this unit kills a unit, it can move and attack again. And this is as long as if you keep killing units, say they're 1 health, you can just keep on going.
You just keep going until you cannot kill something. So this card's really good against a lot of smaller units. Even some more mid-costed units, you could potentially kill 2 of them and still maybe live and be able to get an attack in on the Summoning Stone as well. So it's one of those cards where there are a lot of there are scenarios where it can just go crazy and get a ton of value out of it. And even if you can't, it's still a really big body as well.
Yeah, and the big thing too is you can move it again. So there is some a lot of positional thought to it on what you're going to attack and what you can potentially attack next. So you got to be careful with where you position your Juggernaut. Then we have a new Norse spell, Neutralize. This is a 4 mana rare. Sets the attack and health of all units, so friendly and enemy, to 2.
Yep, this is just a really good tool that Norse Pantheon now has access to. This is one of those cards where you're not going to want to play it in every Norse deck, but it can be especially good in really low to the ground, go wide strategies, especially with the cursed units is especially good because it acts as just a direct buff for them, while also neutralizing the enemy threats that are much larger. So it can be good really late in the game. Or it can be kind of good in the middle portion of the game where you kind of amassed your army and they've maybe thrown out a threat or two that's bigger and it allows you to kind of buff up your guys while also bringing theirs down.
Yeah,
so,
that card's definitely versatile. It can be used in multiple spots, which is...
But it's also one of those cards where when it's good, and then there are cases where, it can be pretty bad. So only certain decks are going to want it, and it's it has specific scenarios where it can be useful and others where it's not as useful.
All right, then we have some new reworked cards. We actually have 6, so a fair amount. I think my favorite are the Egyptian ones, but we're going to hold on those for now. Spartan has had a couple stat adjustments. Still 4 mana, is now a 3/5 with the new ability. Whenever Spartan kills a unit, spawn a random unit, that costs 2 and give it charge. And this is any 2 cost in the game.
That's right. So this card is really good for applying pressure, and especially if you can get more than 1 kill on it, then you're getting a lot of value out of them. And it's interesting because you're actually giving that unit charge. So depending on what it is, you can really start to kind of get an advantage there. But you could also potentially get a dud like one of the pillar or something like that. But
and this is like the spawn, which I know we changed some of the wordings and how certain mechanics work. So spawn, the unit will be spawned around or adjacent to your summoning stone.
That's right. Okay. So you're not always going to be able to
utilize it that turn.
Yeah, spawn something and just go immediately attack the summoning stone or something like that, or depending on where it goes. But either way, you're getting a free body out of it if you kill something.
All right, Hindu Bakasura has had a rework. He is a big boy now. Is now 8 mana, 5/8 with the Warcry. Kill a friendly unit, and this can attack structures as well. Target, and gain attack equal to its cost. Afterlife spawn a 3/3 avatar.
Yep. So this one is kind of going. It's a bit more thematic to Bakasura in terms of especially how he worked in Smite. For those of you who are familiar with that. But it's just a bigger threat that they now have access to. That you're always going to get something with the Afterlife unless he gets silenced, of course. And it's just the Bakasura that's in live right now. Can be good in some situations, but he's not always good. Mm-hmm. And we really wanted to make sure that most of the gods have a wider range of uses that is opposed to being a targeted sort of effect, like like a Siege Master or something like that. Mm-hmm. So this kind of allows him to be a more useful card in more situations.
Yeah, what's in live now is breaks through immunities, which is pretty niche, right? You're looking at Chow Fangs, like maybe pretty good in Arena, I think, just because you're going to see Chow Fangs more in there than anything else. But now he has a little bit more opportunity. Also, we're seeing some shifts as well, putting in some bigger and higher costed units. For a while, it was really just Fire Giant at 8, a couple 7-cost cards, and that was it.
Yeah, so now you have some more options that you can play with.
Okay. Then we have Bolster. The Roman spell has been reworked. Still 3 mana. Select a friendly unit. Set all friendly units' health to match the targets.
Yep, so this is more of a kind of combo-y kind of card. It's really good with cards like Fire Giant's probably the best target, so you can kind of target Fire Giant and you know that you're going to get the 2 Fire Imps, so you're immediately going to get up their health too, but it also works with any other units that you have out there. So it's just kind of a good way to kind of gain an advantage through the later portions of the game.
All right. Then we have the Egyptian spells. First up is Cataclysm. So this is still going to be working the same, except now tiles that do not have units when this is played will spawn lava.
Yep, so this is the lava tiles, similar to the one, or exactly like the ones that you get from like the spell Caldera Nova. So yeah, we can see it right here. But so this has some kind of interesting uses where you can actually add a lot of lava tiles around their spawn area, so that they're constantly having to deal with that. As well as maybe if you're looking to trigger an Afterlife effect early, you can kind of throw something in there to maybe get that point of damage on that to trigger that if you really want to. And another important thing to note about this too is be careful when you're playing against Rome, because Caldera Nova will explode these as well. So you had to be careful about that.
So Caldera Nova just got stronger, actually. I expect to see at least one copy of this run in some Egyptian decks. It should be. I'm actually really excited to see this one see play. And then up next we have Dying Wish. Mana cost has been increased from 1 to 2. New ability: kill a friendly unit, spawn a random unit from your deck that costs up to 2 more.
Yeah, so this is a really unique effect. And a couple things to note on this one is that it is up to 2 more, but will always attempt to get the highest costed it can available. So the other important thing to know about this one is it's actually pulling it from your deck. So you can actually construct a deck in a way that, let's say you're playing out a 3-cost unit. You can actually, and you have this specific 5-cost unit.
Yeah, a single 5-cost unit
in your deck. You can guarantee that you will pull that. So, there's a lot of interesting things you can potentially do with that. And even if you're not pulling specific targets, you're still getting good value out of it because you're spending 2 mana to jump the current target by 2. So especially if you're targeting Afterlife units, which obviously Egyptian has a lot of access to, it can be a lot of really good value.
Yeah, and I know you can also very good use on cards like Khepri, right, which have a lot of instant play, get the combo effect for 4 mana, and then it's a 1/4 body. It's not really it's not really good, so that'd be a good target for Dying Wish. And then the final card that we have reworked here today is Osiris. Osiris has had a stat adjustment as well, is now a 9 mana god with a 7/5 stat line. At the end of your turn, spawn a random unit with Afterlife from your graveyard.
Yep, so he is now a big-time powerhouse. So he's very expensive at 9 mana, but you're getting a very powerful effect that you are guaranteed to get 1 trigger of because it happens at end of turn. So you're guaranteed to grab at least 1 unit back from your graveyard, and if your opponent doesn't deal with it, that's gonna keep happening. So obviously he doesn't have as much health as something usually at that cost, so he's a bit easier to deal with. But
if he stays alive for like 2 turns, he's gotten his value back.
Yeah, he's definitely a powerhouse, but he's a lot more thematic with Osiris is a god now. He's the god of the afterlife. So you've got a lot of that going on. Egypt has a lot of Afterlife stuff going on, so you can really construct a deck around that sort of strategy now and be really effective with it.
I'm actually really excited for Afterlife decks because we got to playtest some, and they're pretty potent. And also, it just adds a new play style and diversity in your builds for the Egyptian pantheon, which I know was kind of a big key part in some of these Afterlife changes.
Yeah, that's one big thing that we're trying to work on is giving more different options even amongst the same pantheon for people to play with. So now, if you want to go more of that healing route, you can do that. If you want to do more of an Afterlife strategy, you can do that. There's even some niche beast strategies around there that you can do with Egypt. So, expect more of that in the future as we're trying to kind of expand the card pool and open up different options for deck construction.
All right. That's it for the new and reworked cards, but we still have some more changes to go over. First up is the new Gauntlet rotation. So the new weekday Gauntlet is Spell Lock. Decks cannot contain any spells. Pretty obvious there. The rewards for that are 2 core packs, 100 favor, and the cutesy soul avatar. After that, we have Mortality coming back. This one, players can only use deck that includes only cards from the neutral pantheon. The rewards are 2 core packs, 100 favor, and the cutesy Medusa avatar, so that one coming back into rotation. Then the first weekend Gauntlet we have, the new one is Entrenched. The map contains 2 rock formations that block unit movement, and I think if you follow us on the Hand of the Gods Twitter, we actually have the map posted up there on what it's going to look like. And the rewards for that are 2 core packs, 100 favor, and the Chef's Special avatar, the Khepri.
I think that's my favorite avatar.
I love Khepri, Cannibal Khepri.
It's a good one.
It's kind of brutal when you think about it.
It is a little,
It's like it's fun, and it's like a cutesy avatar, but come on, a chef lobster? Making more lobster?
What can you say? He's a cannibal.
Prodigal making a return as well, the final weekend Gauntlet. Players can only create decks that contain rare, epic, and legendary cards, and the rewards for that one are 3 core packs, 150 favor, and the cutesy Freya avatar, so that one coming back into rotation as well. Yep. And then we have a few quality of life and general changes. My favorite one right here, drag and drop. You can now drag and drop units from your hand to the board, but cards with castable states like spells still can't do that. So this is units only, but you can nice and smoothly now drag and drop units.
Yeah, and spells do work the same way because they have, you know, the confirmation step. But yeah, so for any unit card, you can just drag it right in there.
I'm so happy.
This is also kind of we were also kind of spoiling a little bit of an extra feature that's coming up that we'll talk about in a minute here too. But yep, there it is, nice and smooth.
All right. Then we have the starter decks have actually seen an adjustment, and I actually forgot to write the cards, even though I said I would. The Greek, Egyptian, Norse, and Roman starter decks have been improved for new players, so getting in some stronger cards. I believe it is 7 or 8 cards that are common or higher that players normally don't get as free that we're actually going to be awarding to everyone. I know it's things like Bastet are in there. Apollo.
Ares. I'm not gonna remember all off the top of my head, but there's yeah, several that are. And the main goal of this is to add some more kind of fun and interesting cards to the starter decks, so that there's a lot more going on there, and they're also a little bit more competitive right out of the gate. And we're going to be giving 2 copies of each of those cards, not just to new players, but all current players will get 2 copies as well. And the main reason that they're staying at the rarity is just so that it doesn't mess with Arena at all.
Yep. Okay.
And it may be a thing in the future where that set of cards will be introduced as introductory rewards for things that you do early on in the game.
Okay, sweet. And I know we have a master reward system that we spoiled last time, going to be coming out here. Not this patch, but in some future patches. So more exciting things on the way for Hand of the Gods. Balance. We've got 4 balance adjustments here. This one was spoiled, and I know a few people have been talking about it. Charge. Units. Oh, excuse me. We actually forgot one thing, and that was actually the unit targeter in general changes. So the color highlight when targeting units, tiles, or summoning stones has been adjusted from purple to gold to better indicate to players what is being targeted. Yep. So previously, this is what it used to look like, and it's just purple on purple. It's really hard to tell. And now there is more of a golden border, so you know exactly what you're hovering over.
Yeah, so you'll get the contrast between the available areas where you can target, which is in purple, and then what you're actually targeting, which will be in that gold. So it's a lot cleaner now, looks a lot better, and I think it's a pretty solid improvement.
Yep. If you guys have any thoughts on any other small quality of life adjustments that we can make like that, make sure to post on the forums, Discord, and Reddit as well. We're always looking through that. Then we have balance. First up is charge. Units affected by charge can no longer target summoning stones on the turn it is played. And do you want to kind of break down why this was adjusted? I know the Imperial Soldier OTK has been a pretty hot topic so far.
Yeah, and this is one of the things, and we've kind of talked. I believe we talked about this a little bit in Dev Q&A, but we generally don't have problems with one-turn kill as a strategy, but we don't like it to be them to be available based on cards that can be widely used. So, charge is a card that, as long as it exists as the way that it does in live right now, then any potential that limits us in terms of what we can do with cards themselves going forward. So if we wanted to introduce a one-turn kill strategy, we now it would be on part of a specific card. It's like if you're doing the one-turn kill strategy, like this is the card that does it, and it does it as part of something that it does itself, rather than being there's a piece that like can potentially enable any one-turn kill strategy based on the cards that are coming out.
I think every single OTK from Norse has involved charge, which does make a lot of sense. Outside of Loki and that stealth, and it's kind of like waiting a turn so your opponent can do something against it potentially. But Imperial Soldier, because it got the bonus movement as well, you just couldn't. There was no real ability to even body block it away.
That's right.
Then we have Empowered Dead. Obviously, we're still making tweaks to the Mayan along with other Pantheons to bring them into level with each other. Mana cost has been reduced from 3 to 2, so just a little bit more efficiency out of this card.
Yep, so just kind of, again, more tweaks to the zombie generation and the kind of the power level on there around the zombies. So this will allow you to kind of get that out a little bit more efficiently. And, this is, stuff that we'll look at more of as we go along down the line to small adjustments to try to bring Mayan back in line with everything else while keeping the core fundamentals of how they play in line.
Okay. And then we have Isis. Warcry now grants Afterlife to Isis as well. So she's just also casting that Resurrect on herself.
Yeah, so she's very, very playable now. You're always going to get value even if you don't have a lot of stuff in play. So I think this is a very, very playable card now,
Yes.
and works very well with an Afterlife Sentry deck, or even if you're doing another strategy, it's just a very solid card now.
She was actually saw some play, but now this is definitely a card that I think we'll see move into the meta even more so.
Yeah, but this is one of those cards that we'll definitely be keeping an eye on too in terms of balance. So we do like the idea of her giving her stuff now, but we'll be keeping a close eye on balance.
Adjust as needed.
Yeah.
And then finally we have Sanctuary. Mana cost has been reduced from 3 to 1. So pretty simple there. This is the card that grants immunity to everything, basically, on any one unit for a turn.
Yep, just making it so that it's a little bit more viable to use now. You're not having to dump 3 mana into, a spell that, only affects 1 unit. And it's,
for 1 turn.
Yeah. So
it's kind of like a worse version of Pardon at the time.
Yeah,
in
some
way.
ways. But yeah, so it's a lot more efficient now. So I expect there may be some cases where people want to put, maybe just 1 in their deck as a key piece to deal with certain situations.
I love Greek decks just because there's so many interesting cards that you can just have one of. I think Greek is the best Highlander deck. Greek is the best Highlander Pantheon for sure. Okay, and then finally we have a few bug fixes for you all. First up, console. We have a quick update on that. Thunderdome Arena now properly displays the back button callout. It wasn't doing so before. Deck Tracker words, wow. Now properly reflects units generated by Hades' ability, so was not keeping track of those at first. Fix an issue where some card images in the deck editor were not properly filling their containers, so just some UI cleanups. Soulbind will no longer kill attached units if one is recalled back to hand. So if you hobwall it, or actually the card recall, you would actually kill people that were linked by Soulbind, no longer the case. Stealth units now properly take damage from fire tiles, was not happening. And then finally, Zabin Scout no longer generates a zombie from enemy unit deaths. And just to clarify, there was a bug with Zabin Scout. It is supposed to generate zombies from friendly unit deaths, but it unfortunately somehow got into where enemy deaths were triggering it as well. It's still disabled, I believe, but with 0.36, it will be re-enabled and fixed properly.
Hooray!
Hooray, we did it. All right, that's patch notes, guys. Thank you for joining myself and Austin. 0.36 slated for Wednesday, assuming everything goes well, and then the console patch on PS4 and Xbox on that Monday. Remember, HRX is coming up. We are 24 days away. Make sure to follow us on social media and our website. We've got a ton of esports content coming out. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next patch notes.
Went into forever.